Beauty for me means enhancing your natural beauty. Like you still want to look like yourself. So just little tweaks here. And of course, beauty to you might mean like, okay, I want a better jawline. But for me, it's like just enhancing your natural beauty.
Welcome to the Beauty Talk podcast, where we feature how the best medical practitioners help their patients to look better, younger, and healthier. Now, enjoy the show, and here's your host.
Daniel Gao here. I'm the host of Beauty Talk. We feature the top medical practitioners in health and beauty, both inside and out. I have Diana Diaz, who is a Chicago-based aesthetic injector and the founder of Demi Med Spa. Originally from Texas and a proud teen mom turned entrepreneur, she moved to Chicago in 2013 and went on to earn multiple degrees before launching her own practice. Since opening her spa, Deanna has generated over 6 figures a year as a one-woman show, balancing patient care, operations, and growth entirely on her own. Injecting since 2018, she is known for her natural full-face balancing and mastery of Botox and Dysport. Deanna is passionate about empowering Latina women to pursue education, rewrite their story, and build a life full of joy, beauty, and balance. So Deanna, welcome and glad to have you here.
Thank you, Daniel. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, so let's start with this. How did you first get interested in the medical field?
Oh, medical. Okay, so I was a teen mom.
Mhm.
So I actually had my daughter at 17,
Mm.
and the nurse who took care of me was amazing. And I just thank her for getting me through that it's tough, right?
Mm.
Birthing, being a teen, the unknown. But
Mm.
she just walked me through the entire birth. And after that, I was like, I want to be a nurse.
And so that started that whole journey.
Yep.
Okay, so then once you went down that journey, what was the transition point that got you into the aesthetics then?
So I was probably a nurse for like 12 years.
Mhm.
And then I went and got my first Botox. And I
Mm.
was about 32 years old. And I was like, God, this is nice. Like my results were amazing. And I was like, how can I do this on the side? And this was before like Botox exploded, before like everyone, now everyone's like aesthetic injector. They're well known. This was back in 2018. And I had asked the nurse who did my Botox, I was like, hey, like, how do I get into this field? And she's like, well, there's really not a lot of jobs. And I was like, okay. And then I ended up going to the Laser Institute to get certified. And funny story, I asked my husband, I was like, hey, can you give me a loan? Because I was like still working at Rush, like in the bedside. I didn't have money, paying off your student loans. I have my daughter. And I was like, can I borrow some money for a loan? He's like, why? It's like, well, because I want to learn Botox. And he's like, well, what's your plan? He's like, do you have a job? Like, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna make that money back? And I was like, no, I just want to learn. And and then he was like, "Oh no, I'm not gonna give you just $2,900." I was like, "Fine, I'll go get a loan on my own," and I did, and that's kind of what started everything.
Wow. Okay. So, so then what, I guess, why did you end up deciding to start your own practice? I mean, why not just after you learned how to inject, why not just work for another med spa and just work somewhere else?
I actually did work for another med spa. I did, and I worked there for about 5 years. And throughout that time, I was working there and also working at University of Chicago. So I was working two jobs, and then I had my daughter that she was still in elementary, well, in school,
Mhm.
and I told myself, okay. I have all these jobs. I don't want to do this forever, right? Like, I don't want to work 7 days a week forever. I was like, I need to focus on one thing. So had my University of Chicago job, my regular nursing job, but then I did this on the side. And I went back to school to be a family nurse practitioner so I can continue with this and like just build my own practice after becoming a family nurse practitioner because you can't do it just with the nurse. Like
Mhm.
I knew that I would need to become a family nurse practitioner so I could become my own medical director later on in life.
Okay. And so that's basically that whole journey led you to starting up your own practice.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Okay, so now that you have your practice, I want to dive deeper into some of the treatments that you provide. So let's start off with the neuromodulators. For
Yes.
people who are not so familiar with the, I guess I'll call it the technical term, what are neuromodulators?
Neuromodulators actually stop your muscle from moving. So these are also called Botox and Dysport,
Mhm.
which are two of my favorites because they're consistent. I always call them the OGs. They've been around forever. There's about five FDA approved toxins, but those two are my favorite.
Okay. And so when it comes to Botox, I think most people think about, okay, you put it in your face and then it freezes the muscles, but I guess it's really about removing wrinkles. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And so when it comes to Botox, it's aside from the removing wrinkles, I guess, is what's the benefit that people are really looking for when they're looking for Botox or Dysport?
So it's those wrinkles that are stagnant. I always tell my clients, I was like, you're gonna move your muscle, you're gonna be creating these wrinkles. So the point of Botox is to stop you from moving this muscle and create these wrinkles.
Mhm.
So if you already have like wrinkles that are already etched in, is kind of what I tell them. I'm like, give it about a year and I can soften them up. I can't promise you that they'll be gone.
Okay.
But people who come in and want to do like I baby Botox, I always tell them, what's the point? Like, there's no point in doing baby Botox. You're gonna just be wasting your money. So you want to make sure we are not moving those muscles because we don't want to create the wrinkles.
I see.
Mhm.
So as you do it over time, does it kind of like stack on top of each other? Like you can start to see kind of better and better results over time?
Yes, they soften up if you have some etched in lines. They do. But I tell them you have to give me a year.
Yeah.
If they come in and they're a little older and they have those lines, because a lot of women and men, they don't, sometimes they don't come until it's like, these lines are really bothering me.
Mm.
Like, I look old. And then I'm like, okay, give me a year. We'll do it every 4 months. And I promise you I can soften them up, but you have to give me a year.
Okay. And I think when people think about Botox, I guess thinking on the fear side of it, like what's their worries about it? I think most people think about that they don't want to look like the overdone Hollywood look. That's probably the number one fear that you probably get. I mean, if it's not, I want to know the other one. But how do you address that when someone comes in like, okay, like I haven't done Botox before, but I don't want to look like these overdone Hollywood actors who are just it's way too much.
So
So
then
yeah.
we
Yes.
talk about dosing. We talk about dosing and I kind of look at their anatomy and see how strong their muscles are and also how deep their lines are. And then we can talk about dosing. And I know I tell them sometimes the way I describe Botox and Dysport, I'll say, okay, Botox is going to give you a little more of a frozen look, but Dysport is going to give you more of a natural look because a little more of a little movement. We don't want movement though.
Mm, mhm,
But I tell them those two, that's the difference. So I always say, okay, what do you want? You want to be frozen, nice and strong? We'll do Botox. Sometimes, and then I'll choose Dysport for people who are like, oh, I want to still be a little softer. Then we'll choose Dysport.
okay. And when it comes to these treatments, it's my understanding is that you should get it every 3 months or so. Is that pretty standard for everybody, or does it kind of depend on the individual?
Actually, I have my clients come every 4 months.
Mm,
And this is, I mean, I know there's a lot of people who are not going to agree with me, but I think every 3 months is too soon.
mm,
Because you can develop tolerance to these, because it's a medication.
mm,
And people, people who have their clients come in every 3 months, honestly, I think they're just wasting their money. Every 4 months is actually better.
mm,
And because I've had people come in and I'm like, you're still a little frozen. Like you don't need it.
mm,
So I'll book them every 4 months. And
mm.
some people actually come in every 5 months.
Ah, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Because if you dose them correctly, it will last.
So it
Hmm.
really does come down to dose.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Okay, so thank you for explaining that on the neuromodulator side. I want to switch tracks and talk about semaglutide, since it's something that has really kind of blown up over the last year, 2 years or so. And I think there's a lot of good things it can do, but I think there's also a lot of maybe misunderstanding about it, and then some potential downsides that people have heard, and so they're not quite sure what's right and what's wrong. But semaglutide, so basically, it's to help people lose weight by suppressing their appetite. Am I
Correct.
understanding that correctly?
Yes.
Okay. So how do you figure out if someone is a good fit for semaglutide? Because I've heard that in some situations it can be really helpful, but in others you don't want to do it. So in what situations is it a good fit?
Honestly, I think it's amazing for everyone.
Okay.
It is an amazing drug. It's been around for a long time. It just recently came into like the cosmetic field
Mm,
for weight loss.
mm,
But it helps like your BMI. I have people whose BMIs are not above 30, and that's like overweight, right? and they just want to lose like 10 pounds. And this is a perfect drug for them too. You can't get it prescribed because you don't, there's certain, like you have to either have type 2 diabetes to get it prescribed through like your primary care physician. But the med spas, like we're able to offer it to our clients because they're paying cash and we can get them from compounded pharmacies. Um, but I think it's an amazing drug. It controls your cravings, it reduces your appetite. And what it's doing is actually, so instead of your body using glucose for energy, it's actually going to the stored fat and using fat for energy. And that's how we should be. That's how we should be living our life. But this world's consumed with too much sugar and everything's, there's sugar in everything, even in our coffee. Um, so yeah, I think it's an amazing drug. And I think if you want to lose like 10 pounds, this is perfect. If you have high cholesterol, if you were found to have high cholesterol, I think it's a great drug.
Okay. And for semaglutide, is it something that you have to stay on for your entire life?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I tell my clients, I was like, let's find a goal for you. When you reach that goal, then we can titrate down. And if you want to continue, because a lot of my clients want to continue because they love it. Because they find themselves not drinking a lot of wine at night, like before, not stuffing their face with food, or like just going because you're bored, going to the kitchen, opening that cabinet, grabbing a snack. Like they don't find themselves doing those, so like they want to continue. And a lot of my clients, I do have them on maintenance doses, and I like the maintenance doses, especially for women who are not like obese. The maintenance doses works really well. And that's just a lower dose, and you stay on it weekly, and you can stay on it for longer.
Okay. So it's
Mhm.
basically you get on it to try and hit a target weight. After you hit the target weight, then you scale back on it, or potentially even just cut it out completely in some
Yeah.
situations. Okay.
hmm
Okay. Now, could you talk a little bit more about the importance of exercise, good diet, I guess lifestyle changes when it comes to this? Because I think that's part of the thing that when I've heard before with semaglutide is that, yeah, you can lose weight really well, but then you also lose a lot of muscle. And my
hmm
understanding of how to counter that was to put in like weight training, strength training to help alleviate that. So can you talk a little bit more about like how you're able to mix in like the lifestyle to have those lasting results?
Sure. I always tell my clients if you're not exercising, just start slow. Do a little bit of weight training, 15, 30 minutes a day. You're gonna lose weight because you're not eating the same that you used to. Like you're not eating the same ways. So I tell them either start running, lift some weights so you can build muscle, increase your protein intake because the protein, chicken, fish, that's gonna help you maintain your muscle also and increase your fiber. So fiber, protein, water. It's kind of what I tell them. And then start slow. You don't have to go and work out in the gym for an hour. I was like, baby steps. I love baby steps for my clients. Like, I don't expect you to start, lifting 40-pound weights, but start slow. 5-pound weights, 10-pound weights are great.
Okay. And as far as Ozempic face, I think that's a term that people have heard where you kind of look very gaunt and skinny in the
Mhm.
face. How do you prevent that from happening? Or is it gonna happen to everybody or just some people? Like, I guess, how does it occur and then how can you prevent it?
Honestly, I see it in people who increase their dose. I I know I've known people who go to other spas and they increase their dose by every 2 weeks, and
Mm,
that's not how you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to increase your dose every 4 weeks.
mm,
So whenever you're increasing your dose, so you're losing more weight. And when you lose weight fast, then that's when you get that gaunt look because like it's just weight too fast. So all my clients do it at a slow, steady rate. I say 1 to 3 pounds a week. I like 1 to 2 pounds a week though. And then guys are always going to lose weight faster because guys, they always just do. Um, but yeah, so the gaunt phase, it's only seen in people who lose drastic weight fast.
okay.
Yeah.
Uh, and when it comes to the semaglutide, are there any potential downsides that people need to be aware of?
Yes. So I always tell my clients increase your water intake because I think, well, I always tell them the worst thing that can happen is pancreatitis, which is inflammation in the pancreas.
Mhm.
I go in, the best way to prevent it is drink your water. So that's like the one thing. And then people with thyroid issues, I always have them check their thyroid and their labs to make sure that they're okay and okay to continue with the Ozempic.
Okay, got it. Now, when it comes to this type of treatment, I'm sure that there's a lot of misconceptions, a lot of myths that you hear from people about it. What are some of those most common misconceptions you hear about semaglutide?
I think people are afraid because they're like, oh, it's a new drug, but it's not. It's
Yeah.
been around 5+ years.
Mhm,
It's just like slowly now it's into the aesthetic field. But people have been taking it for a long time.
mhm,
Um, I think people are afraid that they have to stay on it forever.
mhm,
Not true. Once you reach your goal, you teach your body these habits. Like say you started a weight training program, you're gonna continue because you already have felt like the benefits. You lost weight, you feel good. Um, Mentally, I think people you have to be in a great mental state because I think if you're sad, depressed, and you're not ready to make those changes, then you're not going to.
mhm,
Um, so I tell them like, you have your benefits you reached, right? Like you lost weight, you feel good. So people continue. So when you stop, they're continuing their weight training, they're continuing eating better, they're not snacking, they're not drinking their alcohol, glass of wine a night. Yeah.
Okay, it's good to know. Now, I want to switch tracks a little bit here. So, you have a kind of unique journey where teen mom, then learn medicine, then open up your own business. So, could you speak a little bit more about being a female business owner? Like for women out there that want to start their own business or feel like there's something more, what message would you be able to share with them, kind of from your journey and how to help them give them the confidence to take this step on the journey that they want to achieve their dreams?
Absolutely. First, you can do it. You can do it. I say find a great mentor to help you throughout the process. Start slow. Don't go out there trying to buy a storefront. You need to build your clients. Build your clients, then you can move on into your studio if you'd like, but slow and steady. I think a lot of people think and compare themselves and want to just go out and do everything, lasers, storefront, offer everything. I, I stay slow and steady and offer just what you are really good at. And you don't need to include like $200,000 lasers.
Mhm.
You can always refer out to bigger spas for that because I feel like uh, people compare and you just don't want to be in a level of stress. Like the whole journey of being an entrepreneur is for you to enjoy life and not be stressful. I think beauty is peace. Like be having peace and no stress, but still able to enjoy life and run a business. I think that's huge.
Okay, so you're big into the work-life balance.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Now, I want to go back to if someone is looking for a provider to help them with semaglutide, weight loss, the injectables, but they're not quite sure who to go to. What piece of advice would you give to that person who's searching, trying to find that provider who's really good, knowledgeable, and can get them that great result they're looking for?
I mean, Google reviews are there. Those are great.
Mhm.
But I think a lot of my clients are actually referrals. A lot of my clients are referrals, but I also just make sure that they're licensed,
Mhm.
uh, family nurse practitioner license, and you can always look up the licenses online, an IDFPR. I've had situations where people come to me and they're like, "Oh, like this person didn't even." I realized that they didn't have a license, and I was like, "Ah, that's scary."
Mhm.
But yeah, certifications and licenses are huge.
Okay. Is there now I know that there's some concern as far as quality of product. Like if you're using Botox, it's got to be real Botox, not Amazon.com or what's the other ones? The Temu Botox. So
Yeah.
is that something that the consumers should be aware of? And even if they are aware of, like how do they check something like that?
Okay. So I wish we had more information out there, but yes, you're absolutely correct. You can buy Botox. I actually get like a mail where I can buy like counterfeit Botox. It's crazy.
Uh,
Um, always ask your provider, and you know what? Ask him to show you the vial.
mm,
I, if you have nothing to hide,
mhm,
you can easily show them. Which you know what's funny? My daughter, when she would go get vaccines, when like she's older, but she would have to go get vaccines. Like make sure that they show you which vaccine they're giving you
mm,
because people make mistakes.
yeah.
But that's kind of like my story is going to like whenever you're sitting in someone's chair, have them show them the vial if you're concerned. Botox always has like a hologram on it, like
Mhm,
the show Botox vial, and then Dysport is green. But just ask them, where do you buy your product? Dysport should be coming from Galderma, and Botox should be coming from Allergan.
okay. Okay. Good for people to know then.
Hmm.
Now, Deanna, when you're doing your treatments for your clients, how important is it to have an artistic eye when you're doing these treatments?
Oh, oh, very important because not everyone has an artistic eye.
Mhm,
But you also have to know that, faces are asymmetrical. And I think patients need to know that too. So it's very important that you take before pictures before you do anything because patients forget what they look like,
mhm,
especially if they're new in your chair. You always do before pictures. And then, when you're done in 2 weeks, you do a 2 week follow-up. Then you show them the after picture and they're like, oh, wow.
mhm.
Um, but yeah, artistic, especially when it comes to like lifting eyebrows and making sure you're looking at them when they're talking to you because you want to actually see them as they're moving their muscle and talking to you because you're like, okay, so they do a lot of frown faces when they're talking to you. So even though they tell you, no, I'm always a happy person, I don't frown, they're actually frowning as they're talking to you. So you're like, no, but I see it. So you do make this movement, you just don't realize you make it all the time. So then that's when we focus on lower Botox.
Got it. Okay. So you got to have that eye.
Yes.
Okay. So now, Deanna, I'm sure that over your experience, you've had some challenging cases or tough cases, or at least just memorable. Is there maybe one story that you can share of a situation, a case that came in, and how you were able to get them a great result in the end?
Well, I think I've had some Bell's palsy patients, and sometimes your eye dries out, you don't have tears, so you want, and or actually Bell's palsy, so then you want to make sure that the other side is symmetrical, so you freeze it up, but you need to know like you're treating one side, you're not treating the other, right? Like, and then other cases would be, for example, someone who has like an eye twitch, so you're going to treat them. So this is more like medical, even though I'm not doing medical Botox, it's cosmetic, but you're still seeing that in someone and someone's still coming into you like, hey, like I have this issue. Can you fix it? Can you do something for me?
Okay. Okay. And where do you think the future of aesthetics is going?
Oh, I think it's going more towards natural.
Mm,
I think we went through a few years where everyone just wanted to be overfilled and big lips and they wanted to look like Kylie Jenner or like they just saw these women, but celebrity women just overfilled. Um, I have a lot of patients now just asking for natural results.
mm,
Yeah, so they're not coming in here asking for give me syringes, give me filler.
mm.
They're more regenerative, like Easy Gel, PRF. Yeah, I think more natural for sure.
So no more of the overdone look anymore.
Mm-mm, no, they're actually afraid. Like
Mm,
they come in here and they sit and they're like, okay, I don't want to look like a cat lady,
mm.
or I don't want to look like this person. And they'll show me a picture, and I'm like, you're fine. Like you're not even close.
Or they don't want the duck lips.
Yes.
Okay. Now, with your practice, Deanna, Demi Med Spa, what's your vision for your practice?
My vision, actually, I like, I'm happy. I am very happy right now. Like I said, I like no stress.
Mhm.
I don't like being in debt. So I'm very happy right now. My vision, if any, I think growth comes with time. So if anything, if I am to grow or anything else, then I will chat about it, partner up if I need to, but with time. I'm not in a rush for anything. I like working my 2 to 3 days a week. I like that Latinas can see me too and be like, hey, she's happy, she's successful, she still travels, she still um I I just want people also to look at me and just be like, hey, she's doing great. Like I kind of want to do what she's doing. Um without the big fuss, like without the big luxury spa, without, offering 10, well, maybe I do offer 10, but offering like 30 services. Like you don't need all that.
Mm, okay. Well, that sounds like an amazing vision, great way to live a balanced life.
Yes.
Okay, well, Deanna, I do have one last question for you, but before I ask it, I do want to point people to your website at demimedspa.com. Now, you did kind of answer this earlier, but let's go kind of a little deeper into it. What does beauty mean to you?
Beauty. Beauty for me means enhancing your natural beauty. Like you still want to look like yourself. You so just little tweaks here. And of course, beauty to you might mean like, okay, I want a better jawline. But for me, it's like just enhancing your natural beauty,
Mm,
really.
well, there you have it, Deanna.
Mhm.
Jeez. So, Deanna, where can people contact you and your practice?
Demi Med Spa, I work at 118 North Clinton Street, Suite 101. You can find me online and you can find me on Instagram too.
Awesome. Well, Deanna, this is great. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, and thanks for sharing your message.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Beauty Talk podcast. Any questions, please contact the practice directly with the contact information provided during the show. We'll see you again next time. Bye for now.